We return. We return. We return. We return. Return again. We return. We return. We return. Return.
Fortunately, there's nothing going on in the world. So tonight, I want to start by just taking a breath. We have returned, again, in love, in truth, to God, to one another. So let's take a moment and take a breath. As we enter this sacred space, we're also going to begin by turning to each other. First, we're going to turn to our cameras, to those who are watching at home, and we're going to say, L'Shana Tova. L'Shana Tova.
L'Shana Tova.
And to everyone watching at home, please type L'Shana Tova in your Boxcast chat, and welcome one another. And if you're joining us here in the congregation, I want to invite you to turn to the north, the south, the east, the west, in every direction, and to say, you just practiced it, I know you can do it, to say L'Shana Tova to the people who are all around you. We are thrilled to welcome many of you to experiencing the High Holy Days for all of us the first time with Candor Rudnitsky, and we are so thrilled that you have joined our clergy team in our community, and absolutely. And we are also thrilled to welcome her parents here, which are also wonderful too, so we can welcome you. On this Rosh HaShanah, it's hard to sort of stand in front of you and say, Shana Tova, as loud as possible, because we have to acknowledge the hard truth. It's been a year of deep pain. And many of us, whether here in Charlotte or in Western North Carolina or in Israel or in Jewish communities around the world, many of us just carry this weight of loss and fear. We feel as if we are missing pieces of ourselves. And at times, it's hard to imagine ever feeling whole again. But another truth is that we never were and never will be complete. Brokenness is a part of the human story. And this year has shattered us in ways that we didn't necessarily expect. And we don't get to choose the challenges that we face, the storms that we face. We don't get to choose the wounds that we carry or the scars that mark our bodies and our souls. We didn't choose the pain of this past year, or the uncertainty, the fear, the aching losses that have rippled through our community. But what we do get to choose is how we carry that brokenness forward. Will we allow the cracks in our hearts to let light in? Will we see our wounds as reminders of love, of resilience, rather than just marks of pain? The High Holy Days remind us that we are fragile, like vessels of clay that can shatter without notice. And yet that fragility is not weakness. It's an invitation to live more carefully, more fully, more attuned to the preciousness of life. Because in a world that demands perfection and strength, we are reminded that even the divine creator made a world that is imperfect, a world full of cracks and fractures. And if the universe itself bears the marks of imperfection, then we too can find beauty in our own. So this Rosh Hashanah, we're called to reflect on how we treat ourselves and each other. Can we embrace the brokenness? Can we hold our own and each other's pain with generosity, forgiveness, and understanding? Our missing pieces don't make us less. They allow us to love more deeply, to live more fully, to shine more brightly in a world that is itself cracked and incomplete. So we want to begin by letting light into this world. And I want to invite forward Marcia and John Small, Shana Mehta and Sophia and Devin, 3 generations on our bima to light the candles of Rosh HaShanah. And as they come forward and meet Rabbi Nichols right over there, I want us to think about how these lights can remind us both of the fragility and the wonder of life. Let the flicker of the flames remind us that even in the darkest times, light endures. And may we carry forward the lessons of this year's brokenness, knowing that in our incompleteness, we can still offer warmth, love, and light to the world.
Creation's brightest light, the mystics say, was hidden in the dawn of time.
But on this sacred night, this night of hope and joy, a glimmer of that light is here.
In candles flame, in children's eyes, and eyes aglow with wisdom's light.
It shines in the faces of the ones we love, in grateful hearts, in tears of loss.
It lives in memories of goodness and in our own desire to do right.
To try again, to build anew, to ask forgiveness and make peace.
We enter this new year and look upon the beauty of these lights.
So may the days of awe renew the light within us. Source of blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might, teaching us holiness through sacred obligations, giving us the mitzvah of bringing light on this festival.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Page 15, please rise. Tiku v'chodesh shofar, at the new moon, at the full moon. For our feast day, sound the shofar. For that is the law of Israel, the way of the God of Jacob. Praise God with the blasts of the shofar. Baruch atah Adonai, Shomea kol teruah amo Yisrael barachamim. Blessed are you in our lives, Adonai. You hear with love the shofar, true voice of your people, Israel.
Tekiah. It is traditional in Jewish practice for the cantor on Erev Rosh HaShanah to sing the Hineni prayer, a prayer that says, "Here I am, humbly coming before you, God and congregation, to try to help open the gates of heaven just a little bit so that our prayers can enter." But on this year of so much challenge, maybe all of us feel that deep humility, that humanity, the fragility of our lives. And so we can all reflect together as we enter these holy days on what we would like to do differently in the year to come, and acknowledging that we are part of a world that is much larger than just us. As we hear a modern interpretation of Hineni sung, there will be a reflection projected on the screens and on page 16 for you to read to yourself, to reflect. You can listen to the music, you can read the prayer, or you can just listen. Hineni, here I am. Nifchedet mipachad, I tremble in fear.
Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Yehi ratzon shenizke levirchotecha, B'shnat chameshet alafim sheva me'ot shmonim v'chamesh. Our God and God of our ancestors, may we know your blessings in the year 5785. Eternal One, bless us and the whole house of Israel with renewed life, happiness and peace, comfort and courage, resilience and strength. May the words of our heart be acceptable to you in the new year that stretches before us. We are forever grateful for the gift of life. Page 20. Please be seated. Bless Adonai, who spins day into dusk. With wisdom watch the dawn gates open. With understanding let time and seasons come and go. With awe perceive the stars in lawful orbit. Morning dawns, evening darkens, darkness and light yielding one to the other, yet each distinguished and unique. Marvel at life, strive to know its ways, seek wisdom and truth, the gateways to life's mysteries. Wondrous indeed is the evening twilight. Page 33, we read responsively. To break the bonds of anger, to be generous of heart.
To break the bonds of shame, to live with self-respect.
To break the bonds of envy, to serve one another in joy.
To break the bonds of boredom, to be attentive to all God's gifts.
To break the bonds of fear, to live with courage and strength.
To untie the knots of betrayal, to love with fullness of being.
To break the bonds of loneliness, to receive a hand of hope.
To break the bonds of self-centeredness, to extend a hand of help.
Released from the darkness, our people found their freedom at the sea.
And we pray for liberation at the dawning of this year.
Venu on page 36 is a prayer we say nightly seeking protection and safety, asking to feel surrounded by a shelter of peace. Tonight we offer the words of Venu, thinking of so many in North Carolina whose shelters were damaged by the storm. May they soon know peace.
Elohim,
rise for the Amidah, page 42.
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה, רב להושיע, מוריד הטל. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך נבית ומחיה ומצליח ישועה. מי כמוך אל הרחמים, זוכר יצוריו לחיים ברחמים, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל.
Page 49. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh ukdoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. You are holy, your name is holy. Seekers of holiness praise you day by day. Selah.
Selah.
Baruch ata Adonai hamelech hakadosh. Please be seated. We take a few moments now to conclude this section of our service, the Amidah, with time for our own silent prayer and reflection. I invite you to use the words of our Siddur, filled with different readings and reflections.
your days. May you know compassion and long life. Shlama Rabba, China Vethista, peace and loving kindness. Shlama Rabba, China Vethista, may peace and loving kindness, may peace and loving kindness fill your days.
There are moments in life when we come face to face with the vulnerability of those that we love. Sometimes it's in the quiet conversations, the unspoken fears, the difficult diagnoses, and the long nights of waiting. And in these moments, it's natural to want to do something to fix, to help, to make it better. But healing is not something that we can control. It's not a linear process. What we can do is show up with love, with presence, and with hope. As we gather together in this sacred season, our hearts are heavy with concern for those affected by war in Israel, the pain of families whose loved ones are hostages or are still suffering, and those who are recovering and rebuilding in the wake of Hurricane Helene, especially in Asheville and Boone, and some of the congregants are here this evening with us. We hold them in our prayers, yearning for comfort and strength and peace. Baruch atah Adonai Rofecha Cholim. Blessed are you, Adonai, the one who supports and comforts all who are in need.
Misheberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Around Temple Bethel, I'm often referred to as Rabbi Knight, but at home, no one calls me Rabbi Knight. I have lots of other names, Dad, or just Asher. And if you consider all of the many roles that we all live, we live with lots of different roles, friend and sibling and mentor and partner, and these names, they only hint at the depth of the emotions that we carry and the threads of the relationships that we have. If defining our own roles and the names that we have for other human beings is complex, just imagine how much more difficult, how much more challenging it is to name God, the divine. In our tradition, each name for God, gratitude and strength and love and kindness, offers a glimpse into something larger. And during these high holy days, we turn to the name of Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu, our parent, source of comfort. Malkeinu, our sovereign, guiding us with justice and compassion. Our Machzor, our high holy day Siddur, does not translate these words at all. They invite us to find our own meaning in them, just as we do with those that we love. Avinu Malkeinu, God of many names, hear our pain, our hopes, our prayers. Grant us strength, purpose, and the dignity to rise with courage and hope. Guide us towards a year of healing and a year of possibility. We rise now with the words of Avinu Malkeinu on page 76. We read responsively, Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, you alone are our sovereign.
Avinu Malkeinu, for your sake show us mercy.
Avinu Malkeinu, act toward us as befits your name.
Avinu Malkeinu, bring healing and wholeness to the ill among us.
Avinu Malkeinu, allay the harshness of the decree against us.
Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of redemption and renewal.
Avinu Malkeinu, remember our goodness and call it to mind.
Avinu Malkeinu, sake and save us.
Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, hear our voice.
Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you.
Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families.
Avinu Malkeinu, halts the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger.
Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror.
Avinu Malkeinu, answer our names in the book of lives well lived.
Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us a year of goodness. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice and love.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamul aleinu.
Almost 30 years ago, my childhood rabbi, Rabbi Carrie David Yales, may his memory be a blessing, gave a High Holy Day sermon that riled people up and got them talking. It was not the only sermon he gave over the years that sparked controversy, but it was the one that spoke to me. You see, I wasn't riled up by his words. I was inspired. One of the things that Rabbi Yales was known for was teaching about the Holocaust. He taught a class that every 9th grader in the synagogue took on Tuesday nights at Hebrew High. There was required reading, there were tests, and there were report cards. His class was serious business. But that Rosh Hashanah, Rabbi Yale stood on the bima and gave a sermon, proposing that the American Jewish community spent too much time focused on the Holocaust. People were up in arms. They complained, how could he say such a thing in front of survivors and their families? How could he minimize the single greatest tragedy in the history of the Jewish people? But when I heard the sermon, I did not hear him downplay our history. I heard him advocating for me and for my peers. And his ideas had me nodding my head and sitting up in my seat. As the rabbi spoke, I was oblivious to any mounting tension in the room. His words just made so much sense to me. Rabbi Yales' sermon was not an argument against Holocaust education. Rather, it was a proposal that the Jewish community needed to spend more time making Judaism relevant for the present. He cautioned us that our feelings of obligation toward the past suffering of the Jewish people was leading us to overlook Judaism's role in our present and future. Enough people, though, raised concerns about the rabbi's sermon that a few weeks later, the clergy opened up for discussion at a Shabbat service. I wasn't ready for what people had to say, their faces etched with hurt and disappointment. Their words seemed to imply that the memory of the Holocaust was the key to Jewish continuity, that children would not remain Jewish unless we understood the true horror of the Holocaust. As the comments went on, I could feel my shoulders tensing and the heat rising to my face. And then my hand shot up. I spoke up to defend Rabbi Yales' words and the Jewish experience of my entire generation. I assured the congregation that I knew about the Holocaust. Not only had I aced the rabbi's class, obviously, but I had a personal stake in remembering the Holocaust because my grandfather had escaped Germany in 1938. But at the same time, I told them, my Judaism could not be defined solely by my grandfather's experience. Jewish life in a small German village just didn't apply to life in suburban Boston. If we wanted to make sure that my generation continued to identify as Jews, we had to make sure that we were being given opportunities to experience how Judaism could bring us joy, how Judaism could help us navigate difficult decisions, how Judaism and our Jewish community could serve as a constant support in our lives. Looking back now, after having studied the American Jewish experience in graduate school, I'm not surprised that many people were upset by the rabbi's sermon. They were worried about Jewish continuity, fearful that the slow march of assimilation was leading to Judaism's demise. The National Jewish Population Survey of 1990 had shown that the American Jewish community was aging and that the rate of intermarriage was skyrocketing. People were panicked and looking for solutions that would make Jews remain Jews. They wondered, was it possible that Judaism could survive the outside forces of hatred, only to fall to the internal forces of assimilation and apathy? Too often, though, the Jewish community's fears about continuity came out as statements that piled on guilt or sounded like threats. You have to be Jewish, so that the millions of Jews who died in the Holocaust didn't die in vain. You have to marry a Jew so that we can prove that Hitler didn't win. You have to raise Jewish children because your Jewish ancestors suffered so that you could have a better life. These statements exert so much pressure and judgment, but I don't think they succeed in creating the Jewish community they envisioned. After all, none of these emotional statements actually speak to a reason to engage with all that Judaism has to offer us. These statements might be motivation to label ourselves as Jewish or an invitation to preserve our people's history, but they do not give us a compelling reason to live Jewish lives. Rabbi Arthur Hertzberg wrote, "A community cannot survive on what it remembers. It will persist only because of what it affirms and believes." Ultimately, the purpose of Jewish continuity cannot be the mere existence of the Jewish people on a population survey. Jewish people should exist because Judaism has something to offer. The Jewish people should remain vibrant because Judaism can bring meaning to our lives and give us purpose. Judaism has lasted for thousands of years, not because of the myriads of people who have hated us, but because of Judaism's inherent worth. Ambassador Deborah Lipstadt, Special Envoy to combat and monitor anti-Semitism for the United States government, speaks to this truth. In her book, Anti-Semitism Here and Now, Dr. Lipstadt laments that with the current climate of anti-Semitism, what is done to Jews becomes far more significant than what Jews do. It leaves many Jews aware of what to be against, but not what to be for. Last Rosh HaShanah, just 3 weeks before the attacks of October 7th, Lipstadt published an opinion piece in the New York Times. She wrote that even someone like her, whose professional life is dedicated to fighting anti-Semitism, must be motivated far more by our love for the insights, wisdom, and joy embedded in Jewish culture than by the fight against those who harbor an insane hatred of it. She challenges us to prioritize proactively embracing Judaism over reactively fighting back against anti-Semitism. Her statements reinforce my conviction that the key to Jewish continuity is found in the joy and not in the anger. Add to this the lesson from my rabbi's sermon 3 decades ago. The key to Jewish continuity is found in the present and not in the past. Temple Bethel's new mission statement, created as part of our strategic plan process, reflects these two ideas: to cultivate connected, proud, meaningful Jewish living that inspires change in our world. Connected, proud, meaningful Jewish living. I love this phrase. First, I love that it says Jewish living and not Jewish life. For me, Jewish life is something to be studied or described from the outside. But Jewish living is active, engaging, and messy. Jewish living puts us in the middle of all the experiences. I also love the word meaningful. It captures the idea that Jewish living should not be done purely out of obligation, either to God or to our ancestors. Jewish living should be done because of the positive effect it has on our well-being. My rabbi's sermon came to mind this year because of the events of October 7th and the continued rise of anti-Semitism in our country. I share the urge that so many of us have felt to wear my Jewish star necklace and publicly affirm my Jewish identity. I understand the satisfaction of seeing crowds of Jews come together and thinking, "Take that, anti-Semites. We are still here, and we are not going anywhere." But at the same time, it crushes me that we have to spend time processing anti-Semitism with our students. Time that could be spent, should be spent, on so many other things. Imagine the positive Jewish experiences we could have together in a fraction of the time that is taken up remembering the darkest moments of our history and standing up against anti-Semitism. Memory and advocacy have a place, but so does making vibrant Jewish life. As a Jewish educator, I constantly agonize over what to include in our religious school curriculum. We are at the beginning of the year 5785. All those years, that is a lot of history, stories, values, rituals, and beliefs to fit into 2 hours on a Sunday morning. So what makes the cut? Topics that bring meaning, concepts that can shape who we are, how we understand our lives, how we interact with and impact the world around us. And I want to assure you that focusing on what brings meaning does not negate the importance of Jewish history, but it allows our history to impact our present and future. History is at the very core of what it means to be Jewish. For thousands of years, Judaism has been a dialogue between the past and the present. We draw values from the struggles and actions of our biblical ancestors. We bring the opinions of rabbis across centuries into debates over the important issues of our time. We transform and adapt ancient rituals to meet the spiritual needs and life experiences of today. Helping our community hone in on how Judaism can bring meaning to our lives also doesn't mean that we are ignoring the dangers of anti-Semitism. Instead, it motivates us with a better understanding of what we are fighting for. It arms us with the language of Jewish values that teach us that all peoples are made in the image of God and have the right to feel safe. And it comforts us with the strength of a caring community. But the question remains, how do we know what makes Jewish living meaningful in the year 5785? Am I suggesting that we all need to start following every one of the 613 commandments? Definitely not. Am I suggesting that each of us needs to master the Hebrew language or study Talmud daily? Also no. Meaningful Jewish living is subjective and personal. We are each invited to approach Jewish living with curiosity and a willingness to engage with Jewish values, stories, and rituals, an openness to discovering how Jewish living might add meaning to each of our lives. A story is told of Reb Yisachar Dov, an early Hasidic teacher. Reb Yisachar was a respected teacher of Torah, surrounded by a group of dedicated disciples. And yet he felt he was missing something, and he wasn't quite reaching his students. He began to doubt himself so much that he left his village and traveled to see his teacher, the great seer of Lublin. When he finally stood before his teacher, he asked him with a hint of defeat in his voice, "Please, Rebbe, tell me, what is the single best way to serve God?" The great seer did not even allow a moment of silence to pass before answering. "What makes you think there's one way? Are people all the same that a single practice would fit them all?" Reb Yisachar, frustrated that his teacher had, like so many times before, answered his question with a question, questioned him back. "But how can I teach people to serve God if I don't know the best way to do it myself?" The seer replied, "That is not what it means to be their teacher. One person might serve God through study, another through prayer, another through ritual, another through service to others. Your job is to teach them to carefully observe the ways of their own hearts, to see what stirs their passion for God and for godliness, and then to do that thing with all their heart." The seer of Lublin would have no idea what to make of Reform Judaism today. But I hear our values in his message. We believe deeply that Judaism can bring meaning and purpose to our lives. We see evidence that Jewish tradition can help us navigate the ups and downs, the natural cycles of life. We find inspiration from our sacred texts to take responsibility for strengthening our community and our world. And like the great seer of Lublin, we know that meaningful Jewish living can take many forms. There is no single path. Each of us must find our own. When approaching our spiritual lives, Rabbi Rami Shapiro urges us to not fall for one size fits all. Find your size, he says, and wear it proudly. Almost 30 years ago, my rabbi urged my congregation to prioritize making Judaism relevant to our modern lives. That sermon and my reaction to it moved me a step closer to knowing that the rabbinate was my path. So now, tonight, I stand before you as a rabbi, encouraging each of us to take the time needed to see how our sacred tradition might bring us joy and wonder, comfort and courage, meaning and purpose. If we continue to cultivate meaningful Jewish living, the future of the Jewish people will be bright, not as an opposition to hate, but as an affirmation of love, a love for Judaism, for God, and for the Jewish people. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be God's will.
We return to our service with the words of Aleinu L'Shabeach, page 82. Please rise.
Aleinu L'Shabeach La'adon HaKol, Latet Gedula Liotzer Bereshit, Shelo Asanu Kegoyei Ha'aratzot, Velo Sabanu Kemishpechot Ha'adama, Shelo Sam Chelkenu Kahem, Vegor Alenu Kechol Hamonam, Va'anachnu Koreim, Umishtachavim, Umodim, Lifnei Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'ne'emar, V'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz.
The recitation of the Mourner's Kaddish brings to mind all those who are no longer with us. For many, we think of those who have died since last Rosh HaShanah, those who impacted our lives and shaped us into who we are today. At the same time, while each of us remembers our own individual loved ones, we also mourn as a Jewish community. This has truly been a year of mourning. We feel deeply the collective loss of all those who were murdered on October 7th and those who have died in the ensuing conflict. While we may not know them each by name or by story, we know that their families and friends feel their loss each day. The words of We Remember, sung by our choir, remind us that the memories of our loved ones are with us throughout the year. rise as one community to recite Hadish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish, page 90. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divrach urtei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon u'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'gala u'v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'almei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, v'yitaled, v'yitalal, shemei dekusha b'richu. Le'ela u'le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran ve'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rava min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen.
It is my pleasure to invite forward Jocelyn Siegel, our president of Liberty, to make an announcement.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
I'm Jocelyn Siegel, president of Temple Bethel's Teen Youth Group Liberty. Less than a week ago, Hurricane Helene caused unbelievable devastation in the western part of our state. Millions of people were left without basic needs such as water, electricity, or even a place to live. As a community, Liberty is hoping to raise $12,000 to support organizations that provide relief to towns struck by disaster and those doing this important work. This High Holy Day season, I want to focus on the phrase Tikkun Olam, or repairing the world. Now more than ever, we need to help out others in our community, to support them and all that they have lost. If you are interested in donating, you can go to templebethel.org/hunger or scan the QR code Liberty members will be handing out at the door. On behalf of Liberty, I want to thank you for any amount you are willing to donate. Thank you, and Shana Tova.
Shana Tova. You can scan these. Jocelyn, thank you. A big shout out, I want to give a huge thanks to our ushers and greeters and our board members and our medical volunteers and our Shalom Park partners and our security, our amazing staff and clergy and our choir. Thank you for adding so much beauty to our high holidays. Tashlich tomorrow. All generations are invited to join our clergy for Tashlich on Rosh Hashanah afternoon, and it's a relaxed, meaningful time where we symbolically cast our sins into the water. Some cast more than others. We're not going to say anything, no judgment. Plus, I think the weather is going to be great, so choose the location that works best for you. Rabbi Nichols and I are going to be at the Arboretum at the lake behind Lincoln Pin. I used to say Chili's, but they went out of business, so that had nothing to do with us. I just wanted to say, all right. Rabbi Erdheim and Kenna Renitsky are going to be at Freedom Park, and services start at 4:30 in both locations. Feel free to bring your friendly, leashed, four-legged friend. Our community memorial service is going to be on Sunday, October 6th at 10:30 a.m. at the Hebrew Cemetery for a special memorial service that reminds us of all of the people in our lives who've died. At this season, we go to the cemetery, regardless of whether or not you have someone who's been buried there or not, but to gather together and to pray and to be together as a community. On October 7th, there's also our October 7th commemoration, to a deeply moving service that's going to bring together Reformed, Conservative, and Orthodox communities in Charlotte to remember and honor and reflect on the October 7th and its powerful impact on all of our lives, and particularly the lives of those in Israel. We stand together as one Jewish community, commemorate this significant day, and the current registration is full, but we want you to still register if you want to come, because if space is not available, it's sort of a fluid thing right now, we're going to be able to stream the event from home or come to a location on Shalom Park where we can all watch together. Finally, voting is happening. Temple Beth El votes, and as a congregation, we hold civic engagement as a sacred obligation. We don't care whom you vote for. What we care is that you vote and exercise your civic responsibility. We aim to be a 100% voting congregation. So early voting begins October 17th, right in time for Sukkot. They planned it perfectly. And we are dedicating a section of our sukkah this year to voting in the booth. A hub, you got it, good. A hub of resources to help you make a voting plan and to make be an educated voter. Plus, we're going to invite you to help decorate our sukkah this holiday. In the lobby, you're going to find a station where you can write down why you are voting in this election, and we will use those ballots to decorate our sukkah this season. One last note. In a moment, we're going to conclude our services, and then you're going to see the rabbis shuffle out. And the reason why we're going to do that is because we want to meet you at the doors and say HaShanah Tovah. So don't worry, we're not just like leaving you behind, okay? I promise. But we want to just take an opportunity to recognize that that all of you are here to say Shana Tovah to you and to welcome you into our congregation as well, but as you exit. And so we recognize also the beauty of this moment. And Cantor, we're so excited for Kiddush.
Thank you. We're going to honor and sanctify this special day, a new year. Please, God, a sweeter, more peaceful, happy, and healthy new year. And we're going to do so with the blessing over the wine. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol am veromemanu mikol lashon vekideshanu b'mitzvotav v'hatiten lanu Adonai Eloheinu be'ahava et yom hazikaron hazeh yom teruah mikra kodesh zecher litiat mitzrayim ki manu v'charta ve'otanu kiddushta mikol ha'amim u'devarechem et v'kayam lan Baruch atah Adonai melech al kol haaretz mekadesh Yisrael v'yom hazikaron.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyanu v'higyanu lazman hazeh. L'chaim.
Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Shetachadesh Aleinu Shana Tova Umetuka. Our God and God of our ancestors, eternal God of all generations, may your presence in our lives this new year renew our spirits and renew our strength. May it be a good year. May it be a sweet year. May you be inscribed and sealed for a good year.